Representatives of civil society organizations in West Africa are currently taking part in a 3-day human rights and climate change-centered seminar in the Gambia. The sub-regional seminar is being organized under the auspices of the African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies. The thinking behind this engagement is to help in the efforts geared towards addressing present climate change-related issues and their impact on human rights in the sub-region. While Maria Madam attended the opening ceremony, and she now reports.
This engagement comes at a time when there is increasing recognition of the urgency for collective climate action to combat environmental degradation and other climate change-related issues in Africa. The seminar, organized by the African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies in collaboration with the Open Society Foundation Africa and with funding from Ford Foundation, will expose participants to regional and international environmental protection and climate change mechanisms. Over 10 participants from civil society organizations in West Africa are partaking in the seminar themed from environmental conservation to climate action, empowering civil society organizations in Africa for sustainable development and human rights advancement. Madam Hannah Foster, the Executive Director of the African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies, welcomed the participants to the Gambia. She stressed the significance of the training, which she explained specifically targets West African countries. Madam Foster described the impact of climate change on Africa as severe, highlighting that the negative impacts of climate change affects the continent's resources and lives of many Africans. She expressed gratitude to all the participants for their presence and partners for their contribution to the successful hosting of the forum. She also dilated on the seminar's objectives.
Groups that work, non-state actors that come in, they extract the resources, and the communities are not benefiting from it. So human rights defenders that speak up get into trouble. So it is important for them to know how the international and the regional human rights system works, so that in case of violations, they're able to engage the system and the mechanisms to ensure that there is redress for the violations of human rights. So that's why they are here. Most of them have never engaged with the African Commission. They've never engaged with the international system. So we are hoping that by the time they leave here, they would know how to engage, they would know what the procedures are, and they would know how to participate in the work of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. For us, it is not for us to, after training them, what else can we do is, the other things would be to support them in their work and to make sure that they do have access to the Commission, to encourage them to have observer status, and also to encourage them to participate, to present their alternative reports to the Commission, and that also makes sure that the visibility of their country when it comes to the management of natural resources or even natural resource governance is put in place, and they're also able to carry on their work without much interference.
The event aims to empower CSOs as key agents of change in addressing environmental challenges and advancing climate resilience across Africa. The training also seeks to enhance participants' knowledge, foster collaboration, and promote innovative solutions for a sustainable and resilient future for the continent. Edmond Foley, the Executive Director of the Legal Aid Commission of Ghana, emphasized the importance of proactive measures to address climate challenges now and prepare for the future.
It's very, very important in that it is happening at a time when Africa is experiencing great change in terms of governance, also in terms of its production, output, economic development, but more importantly, political transformation. This workshop is focused on environmental issues. And as I indicated in my opening remarks, the future is going to be around issues of the environment and climate change. We are going to see a population growth in Africa beyond ways and means that we have not anticipated. And so it is important that we prepare African civil society to engage with governments in addressing some of the environmental concerns that will come up. And that is why this workshop is important. Participants are going to be equipped with knowledge and skills on how to engage the African human rights system and use the tools and the skills learned to engage with governments to ensure accountability. Our governments have signed on to a number of international commitments regarding the environment, but are they being enforced is the big question. And that is why this workshop is happening in Banjul. And Banjul also because this city is the home of human rights in Africa. This is where the discourse on the continent's human rights framework began. So it is really historic that we have come back to the place where it all started.
The expected outcomes include a better understanding of environmental protection and climate change mechanisms, enhanced advocacy for environmental sustainability and resilience, and the establishment of networks for collaboration and collective action. Meanwhile, the African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies is the leading advocate for human rights, democracy, and good governance in Africa, with a focus on empowering individuals and organizations to champion change, promoting a just and equitable society across the continent. Maria Madem, reporting for Star TV News.